Hey, Vinodh Menon, good laugh. I tried to find you on the internet. I typed in Vinodh Menon, and then
Mhm.
I got about like 30 different Vinodh Menons. So it seems as if you got quite a common name. And then there was no connection
Yes,
to
I
good
do.
laugh, right? So
Yes, I do. I've never Googled myself. I should try that after this.
you should try that. Yes, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'll do. Yeah. So how's things with you? How's things
Good,
going?
good. Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me who Vinodh Menon is, man, and then what's good laugh?
Uh, well, uh, wait. Sorry, but does Jane want us to talk about good laughs or as in? Because
Yeah,
I'm not sure about
absolutely.
good
Well, tell
laughs.
me about you first, and then
Uh-huh.
tell me who Menon is. Tell me who tell me who Vinod Menon is, and
Yeah.
tell me about Good Laugh, man.
Okay, so basically, I'm an average Joe. I run a few companies.
A
One
few
in
companies.
healthcare. Yeah,
Well,
one
one
in
is hard
healthcare.
enough. One is hard
Sorry.
enough. How do you run it? Running
Yes,
one company is
it's
hard
not
enough.
enough. Yeah, it is. It is. One is in healthcare, one is in events, which is related to the Artisans Digital Mall, and one is in beauty solutions, and one is in F&B. So I got in touch with Jade, I think maybe through business connections or what. And the company that works with Jade, with the Artisans Mall is Good Times Ticketing. So we are an event production as well as an event ticketing company. So in the mall, what we'll be doing is that we will be ticketing events there as well. We'll be doing online virtual events and putting up clips of comedians and all that on in the mall. And Good Laugh is actually our virtual comedy club. So that Jane and I were discussing about. So basically, we will have stand-up shows there and all that. So that's in a nutshell. That's what I do. That's what I am. Yeah.
So before Good Laugh, right? What's your background? I mean, nobody really studies comedy, right? They come from somewhere else, or some part of their life where
I
it's
get
like
a
it just
degree in
happens.
comedy. Yeah. So basically, I mean, how I got into comedy was that I've been watching comedy. I mean, since I was a kid. Started off with David Letterman, the Tonight Show with David Letterman. That was my first introduction into stand-up comedy, and from then on, it just became like this obsession with comedians and from everyone from like people like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, to the most of the guys now, and so. I went to uni and I studied PR and marketing. I did a double major, and I was barely in class because I was too busy doing events. I've always had a passion for events, actually. And so when I left, when I came to work, and then I went out, I've always had a dream of setting up my own company. And so that's when we started off as Phoenix PR, which was an event production company. Then we slowly morphed into event ticketing as well, and thus it's Good Times Ticketing. So majority of the shows, the events that I have produced on my own have been stand-up comedy events. Yeah. So that's pretty much it, I guess.
Okay, um, comedy in Malaysia, comedy for you. What does it mean,
Yeah.
and how does it transmit virtually? Because comedy needs the human element, right? Comedy
Mm.
needs the face to face, the vibe of the crowd, you feed off the energy of the crowd. Russell
Mm-hmm.
Peters, when I see him on YouTube, he spends at least a third of his show just making fun of the people in the front row. And then
Yes.
it's very natural, very funny. Chappelle
Mm-hmm.
does the same thing.
Yeah.
So how do you do it virtually and effectively?
So it's definitely going to be a challenge. When the MCO first started, in fact, I experimented with a local comedian called Mat Sabah, and I said, look, let's do like an online comedy event. And you're absolutely right in the sense that comedy requires the human element. It's 50% of the show basically. So this is definitely going to be a new challenge, but it is something that is. It's just sort of like we are responding to the times right now, and putting up clips and putting up shows online. Um, the whole thing, what I do is that what I'm doing differently is that the shows that we do from now on will not just be shows that are just a comedian staring into the mic or into the camera. You're going to have a small audience in front of them, so that we hope really delivers as much as we can online as it does on a live scale, because right now, although events can go on starting from this month, but the numbers are quite small still. So with that, we hope to mitigate the loss in numbers, in audience, live audience through online. So that's what we're going to do.
So how does it work? So people log in from all around the world or wherever they log in, and then they pay a small cover charge. How does it work?
Yes. So basically, they will have to pay a fee to get to watch. So it's similar to how, sort of like, think of it as like a Netflix subscription. So you pay as per, it's not a Netflix, sorry, it's more like a pay-per-view. So you pay and then you just watch it from your home. I mean, that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
And I think you can be anywhere across the world if you want to. You can be in UK, US, India. I mean, it depends on your time zone, obviously. But that's and the shows that we do on these live events are going to be exclusive shows. So you can't get, if you don't watch, if you're not at the live or you're not at the online watching it, then that's it. It's gone after that.
Okay, so who have you got as comedians? You've got your traditional guys like Douglas Lim and Kwah Jen Han. Then you got a couple of guys that are the newer guy. I can't remember his name, but he was on Netflix as well. He's quite big as well, right? Kevin J. That's right.
Harit Iskandar, yeah.
Harit
So
Iskandar.
right now we are talking to a few comedians, a lot actually, and they are putting us up, because the thing is, right now is also dependent on the country's regulations as well. So one thing that I've decided to do is I'm not going to do a stand-up comedy show online. I'm not going to do just a comedian looking to a camera and telling jokes. I've seen so many of that during the MCO, it doesn't work. So it's based on regulations of the country, whether they can have a live or a small group of people in front of them, but there has to be that human element into each show. So we are still finalizing a few of those details and the recording, the equipment, because it's going to be online. So yeah, it's taking a bit of time, but then we have quite a few comedians lined up for that.
Yeah, tell me, man. So how is it the show is going to look like? Because I love comedy. I watch a lot on YouTube.
Yeah.
Obviously it's getting very big in Malaysia. What are the
Yeah.
shows going to look like when you launch them?
So the shows are pretty much going to resemble the specials that you watch on Netflix. So basically, there's going to be a comedian performing, and then there's going to be an audience in front of him laughing. It's pretty much what you have seen online as well. The difference is that between this and watching a clip on YouTube or on Netflix is that this is a one-time thing. So when you watch it online, that's the only time you can watch it. Maybe years from then or whatever, maybe after the tour is done, they may release clips on YouTube. But the show is once, and so that we hope will be a strong pulling factor for people to come in and get tickets and watch.
So per ticket, and then how long is the show, and how many comedians are you going to get?
It depends on the comic. Some shows we have done is about 60 minutes, but it will be between 60 to 90 minutes. That's going to be the whole duration of the show.
How much should I expect to pay?
Oh, nothing much. I think right now we are talking between 20 to 30 ringgit because we are testing the market still. It's a new thing that we're doing, so we don't want to overcharge this right away. But it will be between 20 to 30 around that. Yeah.
So what happens if, like, say I call my friends and we're like, say 10 of us here, right? And we all logged in, and then we're having beers, and then can you get to see us? As we get to see you?
No, we won't. It will be a one-way thing.
You can't feed off of us, right?
We have tried that a while ago on Zoom, where we had a number of people and all that. Again, the whole how do I say it? It's like watching an old school sitcom. They always put in those laugh tracks. I never understood why they did that until now, because you need prods to laughing, and I just like it very clean. I like it like there's a stage, there's a backdrop, there's lighting, and then there's people in front. Maybe 10, 20 people is more than enough, but we just want that laughing in front, that real laughter. So I think that would be a good way to prod people watching to laugh as well. Yeah.
Are you a comedian yourself? I mean,
No, my God, Jesus, no. No.
It's not easy, right? It's not easy at all.
It's not easy at all. During the MCO, I was sort of flirting with the idea to, hey, why don't I, try comedy myself? But the whole process of writing, and so I took this course online, and I was like trying to write jokes, and Even I found them not funny. So I said, you know what, I'll leave this to the pros. I'll just produce, you guys do your thing. That's easier.
So for Malaysians who are used to and can resonate and have laughed with the Eddie Murphys and the Richard Pryor's and the Russell Peters, even Michael McIntyre so how does Malaysian comedy differ, and how do Malaysian consumer tastes differ? How do we consume Asian Malaysian comedy? Because it's not mainstream now, right? It's not gone boom yet, right? Okay.
No.
How do you go boom?
I think Malaysia. Okay, first of all, in terms of Malaysian comedy, so I'll talk about Malaysian comedians. Malaysian comedians are very restrictive in their content. Their content is very much centered around racial comedy. There are only a handful. There's only one or two comedians I know who tend to talk about other things outside of the racial elements of our society. You go to any comedy club, expect to get at least 10 jokes about, oh, Indian people do this, Chinese people do that, Malay people do that, Of course, now there is a slight growing trend. Last year, before the MCO, we did a special with Kavin J, whose entire show was about his life, and which was very nice to see. We did a special with Prakash Daniel, another local comedian, whose also content was about his breakup, about his love life, and also it was I always tell comedians, I say, if you guys are going to always talk about race, you're going to lose the world market. You need to talk about something that's relatable. And believe it or not, everybody's, for example, your life, your family life, your career, there are a lot of anecdotes that are relevant universally. So, which is why people like Russell Peters and all that, if even Russell Peters, his racial comedy is very global. It's not just Canada. It's not just the US. So I think there's a slight change towards more universal comedy, but Malaysian comedians focus on racial comedy a lot. In terms of Malaysian, sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, and in terms of Malaysian consumption of comedy, I think us Malaysians are very picky. We have a very selected taste buds for comedy. If you look at the stats, if you look at Kumar the drag queen, when Kumar comes to Malaysia,
I love Kumar, man. I was gonna mention Kumar because Kumar is like all the way out there, and he's got no boundaries almost, right? He does everything. He does everybody. And he talks about his bisexuality and his transvestite.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, man. He
is. But in terms of, I think
can you get Kumar? Can you get Kumar?
I think Kumar now is doing something with LOL events. I think he's doing a online show with them as well. We've not spoken to Kumar. I have spoken to Kumar to bring him down before the MCO, before COVID-19. But nothing ever worked out. But we may, who knows? As I say never, but we may. But in terms of the Malaysian consumption of comedy, I think it's very skewed towards Kumar's type of comedy. There is a bit of physical comedy. There is a bit of crass comedy. It's not. For example, I think I think Kumar would sell out more tickets than Kevin Hart if he came to when Kevin Hart did come to Malaysia, and his ticket sales, I'm sure if Kumar and him perform the same day, more people go for Kumar than Kevin Hart.
No question. Kumar's huge. How many did Kevin Hart sell out for in Malaysia? How many seats?
Now this is allegedly, because I'm in the market. I'm not privy to the exact numbers, but I think it was only about 4,000 to 5,000 tickets
in one night or totality.
In a one night, in a 12,000 seater.
Wow. So what about Russell Peters? When Russell Peters came here like 3 years ago?
Russell Peters sold out every time.
Yeah, and his minimum ticket was like $300, right?
Yeah. Russell Peters is, I think, in the Forbes 500 list of most richest people in the world. I mean, comedian.
Are you serious?
Yeah. That guy is insane, man. He travels the world. He sells out shows everywhere. So he's crazy. He's crazy. Yeah.
I was on Joe Rogan's podcast about a week ago, and he said that his sole source of income was from live shows, and that is completely dried up the last 3 months. I don't know how he's going to do it, because if this thing lasts for another 1 or 2 years, he's got to find a new way of interacting with the crowd.
Well, I guess now with his new Spotify deal, 100 million, I think he'll be fine.
So Joe Rogan got the deal. Chris Rock has a Netflix deal, but not Russell Peters yet. Yet.
Yeah, no, Peters yet. Yeah. I think because I think because it's a money issue. I think I think if I'm not mistaken, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard him say on Sway podcast where he was talking about the money just wasn't big enough for him, which is fair because I don't know why Netflix wouldn't pay for him because his special would be consumed across the world.
His it'd be huge in Asia. He would be massive in Asia.
It'd be huge, massive. Yeah, I had no idea why Netflix haven't bought his special, but maybe it's quite pricey as well. You never know. You know.
Matter of time, I think. Okay, before I let you go, Vinodh, what is Malaysian comedy going to look like in the next, I don't know, 1-2 years time? How's it going to evolve?
You mean based on this kind of pandemic? You mean the effect of this? I have a feeling things will go back to the way they were. I think right now with the events can take place. I think people. I think comedians are going to go back to the way things were. Everything's going to go back to the way things were. I don't think. I think COVID is going to become just like dengue or TB, or because people need to move on with their lives. We can't just hit pause forever. So I think Malaysian comedy is going to keep growing. It's very good to see that Malaysian comedians more and more are coming up with their own hour specials. I think last year out of all the specials, I think there was 5 specials. We did 3. So I produced 3 of them, and so I'm very happy to see local comedians have their own specials. And I think if you look at 10 years time, I think you will see more Malaysian comedians having more global appeal, getting on Netflix and stuff like that, because the content is changing. They're moving away from racial comedy. They're going to more universal themes. So I think the future is very, very bright for Malaysian comedy, actually.
All right, man. Thanks, Vinodh. Good luck with Good Laugh. And keep on chugging, man. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, buddy. See you.
Take care.